Who do you trust to figure it out in the second half of the season? Iowa, Michigan State, or Texas A&M? Three teams who good programs but have had relatively disappointing seasons thus far. So let's go to our responses. This one comes from Brian Brooks, who says, got to be Michigan State. Iowa is who they are. Plus, I think Mel Tucker is a good coach. How do you feel about it?
I like this. I like this because Michigan State has also demonstrated it can reel off 11 wins and get to a New Year's Six bowl game after winning just 2 games, right? We also know that Mel Tucker is about modern football, right? He's going to recruit hard. He's also going to recruit and say, hey, name, image, and likeness is part of the game. So let's create a program that allows for these guys to build their name, image, and likeness around Michigan State football. It's very smart, right? He's walking hand in hand, I think, with Tom Izzo over there, which is not a bad guy to be recruiting next to. But also, I think we're coming into a game that's going to matter for not just Michigan State, but Michigan. Because this is a game that Michigan State has, frankly, had a stranglehold on for the last about 14 years. As a matter of fact, got the stats here just a second. I had done this work a little bit earlier in the day because I knew that we were going to talk about Michigan and Michigan State. But since 2008, Michigan State is 10-4 versus Michigan, which is wild to think about. But also, when only Michigan is ranked, they are 26-11 against Michigan State, which means that an unranked Michigan State has beaten a ranked Michigan 11 times out of the last 37. And I think this is a great get-right game for Michigan State. I think they're looking at this game going, no. We got the measure of you in Ann Arbor, and we the state school. We get it how we live. We ain't even got air conditioning in East Lansing. And we can't wait to give it to the Michigan men. I think if you put on like that, yeah, I would expect Michigan State to finish out in the second half of the season. But again, it's not just Michigan, it's the Big Ten East, which is just a juggernaut division. So, yeah, I think I'm in on this one. I think I'm going to pick Michigan State out of the 3, but I still want to talk about the other 2, Tyler.
I'm glad you do, because our next response, this one comes from William Stinnett, who just sent a GIF of the Texas A&M flag. I got to admit, things have not been going too well down there in College Station lately, but William, he's not giving up. I respect it.
Holy smokes. All right, so behind the curtain here, there's nothing Tyler and I like doing more than talking about college football in all facets. So when the news came down that Texas A&M was suspending 3 of its star freshmen indefinitely, we went, holy cow. This is after you just lost to South Carolina, which was definitely not supposed to be on the bingo card in 2022, after signing the number 1 class ever of all time. And then calling your own press conference so that you can shoot down Nick Saban saying you bought your class, which, okay, fine, do that, but then go beat Nick. And you couldn't beat Nick. And now we're talking about taking a loss to Appalachia State, putting money in the bag, talking about getting right against Miami, and then dropping one to South Carolina that you should just beat down everybody with. And I looked at the schedule, Tyler. They could be, and I'm just going to say it, 4-8 by the end of the season, which again, I'm going to dunk on myself here. I had this as a top 4 team going into the preseason.
You weren't the
and
only
hell
one.
Was I wrong about that, but I got off that bandwagon just as quickly as I could. And now we're staring at Jimbo Fisher being the guy at A&M for the foreseeable future because his buyout is a reported $80 million, and not even A&M fans got that kind of money laying around in the couch cushions.
Only thing I have to say about that is college football fans can't agree on anything, but they can agree on dancing on Texas A&M's grave, because I have not seen college football fans so unified in anything more so than just laughing at the demise and just everything that's gone wrong in College Station this year. And I think part of that might be because of Jimbo Fisher's, I guess, personality, the way he approached this offseason, how just the mere notion that they would pay their players, he completely dismissed it and then attacked pretty much everyone who did it. I think he even made a comment about Bro Bible or something like that at one point during the course of the offseason. So it's been a rough stretch for him, but I guess for everyone else, it's been pretty fun to watch. But we got one more. This one comes from St. Berg, who says, I guess State, but the answer really is none of them. And I kind of have to agree.
Look, man, it's tough sledding this time of year when we're talking about teams that have underperformed. And all 3 of these teams, Michigan State, Texas A&M, and Iowa, have underperformed Although the one that has shown us the most on the field has been Iowa. Its defense has continued to play like the number one defense in the country. They are able to score points for you, which is found money. And yet Iowa's offense can't turn that into something like fuel for the fire. I really feel for Iowa's defense because they deserve even a competent offense. With a competent offense, maybe you're a one-loss team, maybe a two-loss team, but you are still very much in the hunt for perhaps the Big Ten West, which, right now we feel like Illinois might be at the front of, but we'll see how that continues to go down. I'm really shocked that we're in this spot with these three teams because I obviously thought the world of all three of them. But as we're getting closer to November, it's getting to be very clear what the flaws are and what can be fixed. And I think Michigan State still has some things that can be fixed. Basically, they got beat down by some injuries and some really untimely defensive back play. But I think you can mitigate that. I don't know what you do about Spencer Petras and Alex Padilla as quarterbacks at Iowa. And I don't know what you do about the culture in Texas A&M. To your point, everybody agrees that they can dance on Texas A&M's grave because Texas A&M ain't never been smart or quiet about being good. They're always the first people to tell you that they are good, and they're always the last people to tell you that they're bad. Nobody likes being around that person. As a matter of fact, this is a conservative sport, so I feel fine saying this. Humility goes a long way in college football. It goes a long way. People want you to act like you've been there, even if I'm the kind of person that wants you to act like this is your first time every time. However, when you're doing that and you're 3-4, it's just a bad luck. And even I will say when I'm beat or when I'm wrong. That just doesn't seem to be in the cards at A&M. So I think Michigan State has the best opportunity to do this. Iowa's defense is going to have to score 25 in a game. And then A&M, we'll just have to see. Because, again, the bottom is not in sight yet. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better, Tyler. This is outstanding. I'm glad we did this.
And it's going to be really interesting to follow because even as the season goes along, that's just one thing, right? We all know about the recruiting class that they signed this past season. A lot of the guys that are suspended right now, they're all freshmen and highly touted freshmen at that too. So this is going to be the first real study in the NIL era. Okay, what happens when these recruits that were allegedly paid go to that school and then they want to transfer out? What happens to that money? Where does it go? That's the thing that's going to be really interesting to see because if these guys start to leave, then all of a sudden those paychecks don't cash, and then we could be looking at a much bigger problem and something that I think in a way the rest of the college football world will be watching as this sort of plays out. So we'll see. Iowa is Iowa. They were on my banned list until we went to that game this Saturday, and I have to say they were certainly entertaining, especially when Padilla came in the second half and immediately fumbled, and then they brought Petras back in, and then he threw a pick. I laughed. I thought it was funny. But, yeah, all these teams, I think Michigan State probably has the best chance to get out of this, and they have a great opportunity to get that going this weekend.
I think you're right. I'll add to this that any person that's drawing up a contract for name, image, and likeness and makes it contingent upon finishing your time at school, I'm not signing that contract. I just wouldn't take the money. Like, I want to get paid either way. That's how this works. Like, you want to buy me out, that's okay. Or I want to go somewhere else, that's also okay. I'm not certain that this is really going to be a referendum on the name, image, and likeness era. I think it's just going to be a referendum on how Texas A&M tried to use it, right? Like that part is really what's hair-raising because if you did, for instance, let's just assume the bag man showed up to each one of these recruits and you're not getting your money's worth, cool, you want to go somewhere else, but I'll go out on this. Mac Brown famously wanted to hang on to his Texas Longhorns program because he knew he had a damn good class 2011, 2012, 2013. And the last thing he wanted was for someone else to win with his players. I can understand why Jimbo Fisher would want to hold on to this job for dear life because the point you raise is valid. Freshmen mature into sophomores, mature into juniors, that perhaps can lead you to an SEC, if not a national championship. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.